What's going on social media? Chilling. Now, I stopped my workout because I had something I wanted to record, I guess, right? And today's the only day off that I have, being I gotta go to the doctor and everything to set up all my VA shit, right? But I figured this is a good time to talk about it. And I'm not saying it's not a wild topic, but I'm saying like while my pre-workout's in me, I feel like I'm at my best. So I'm at my best to talk about stuff when I'm in when I have pre-workout in me, if that makes sense. All right. Now, me and my girlfriend were watching the movie Click the other day, right? And Click's an interesting movie to me, right? I'm not like the hugest Adam Sandler fan, but you know, Adam Sandler to me comes from that pocket of like the white community where their comedy is very slapstickish, right? It's not black humor, but I fuck with Adam Sandler, if that makes sense. But Click was one of the movies that I remember when I watched when I was younger. I think it came out in like 2006. I remember watching it young. Either my dad showed it to me or I just caught it on the humbug. I remember watching it, right? So me and my girlfriend ended up watching it again. Might have been this past weekend, right? I remember this movie in particular sticking out to me. And I remember watching it as a kid, but not catching the lesson, but like liking the movie, if that makes sense. So I ended up watching it again this weekend, right? Got a totally different thing out of it. Now, I think as a man, the movie Click is gonna really resonate with you as a dude. Don't know don't know so much as a woman, but as a dude that's trying to figure out life, be on top of his shit, you know, get ahead and, you know, make the most of it. And I mean in the sense of like a job field or just things you get annoyed by, right? I think Click is a movie that's going to resonate with you as a man, right? Now, the point of Click is that Adam Sandler, he has these moments throughout his life, right? And I'm just going to like just briefly blaze over the movie where he just doesn't want to deal with certain shit, whether it's his wife arguing with him or, you know, traffic, and he's trying to get ahead of this job. You know, it's just certain parts of his life he'd rather fast forward, pause, you know, all this other shit, right? It's kind of like a comedy, but it's like the movie's two halves, right? It's one part Adam Sandler, other part like dramatic, like in-depth, like drama, if that makes sense. And the reason why I say this movie's going to resonate with a lot of dudes is like, you know, I think he spends a lot of time trying to get ahead. He puts so much energy in trying to get ahead in his life. I personally resonate with that point, right? Because I reached the point where I almost got to the point where I was willing to sacrifice fun, sacrifice living, sacrifice going out just to get ahead in life, right? And it's been certain situations as of like the last month, this movie I think included the rewatch of it, that's made me rethink a lot of shit that I was thinking, right? Whereas, you know, between my tooth getting pulled and watching this movie, I kind of have a different perspective on shit. Like I'm kind of leaning more into the wanting to go out and have fun and enjoy myself. You know what I mean? Because before, like, I was so caught up in just trying to get ahead and win that I was almost becoming obsessive about it, low key. Like, and I think as a man that wants to make someone of himself, you can still do all that, but I think there's points in your life where you can stop and slow down and smell the roses and spend quality time with your family. You know what I mean? Stuff like that is important. Because here's the thing that I've learned recently, right? The white folks gonna get their money. If you owe bills, if you owe credit, all this other shit, you know, debts and stuff. Not saying you shouldn't pay it, but what I'm saying is like you will always have opportunity to make more money. You know what I mean? You're never gonna run out of opportunity to work, if that makes sense. I mean, you may or may not catch the right opportunity. You get what I'm saying? What I'm saying is this, right? The quality time you spend with your family, the quality time you spend doing things that have more meaning and memories. Because when I think about my girlfriend a lot of times, the biggest memories that stick out to me is Las Vegas, when we went to Vegas, when we went to Atlantic City, all those bars we went to in Cortland, the times we was hanging out in Syracuse, those memories resonate in here for the most part. And where this ties in with Click is that Adam Sandler throughout the movie gets to a point where, when he gets this magic remote, and he can just fast forward through the parts of his life that are inconvenient. The shit that he doesn't like, doesn't fuck with, doesn't want to argue, or he just fast forwards to the point where he gets the promotion. But as he's fast forwarding through his life, he's coming to find out that, certain things have happened, certain events have taken place, and, he's missing out on these events because what the remote does is, because you fast forward through your life, you're not actually present in the moment. And that's the big point that I'm trying to get across here. And I think women oftentimes are more so on the side of, like, put it this way, women take more days off, women go on more vacations. Women, for the most part, most women I see online or like on social media, y'all don't miss out on shit. Now, I'm not saying as a man that you got to do it to that extent, but I think that there's something to be taken from it. Meaning, like, there's a half of life you got to win, and then there's a half of life you got to enjoy. Because let's say you accomplish all your goals, right, as a guy, and you just you make all the money you want to make, you do all the shit you want to do, you achieve all the goals you want to achieve, right? What's the point of all of that if you don't have nobody to share that with? Like, okay, you a rich motherfucker with a 12-bedroom house, 4 cars in the yard, chefs, maids, all the other bullshit, right? What's the point if you don't have a wife and kids, or you don't have nobody significant to share that with? Look, it's one of the reasons to me, personally, because me and my girlfriend was talking about this the other day. She's like, I think you're more of a relationship person, whether you admit to it or not. And I think that's true. I think I was playing the role of a motherfucker that wanted to run the streets, if that makes sense. Because me and my cousin had that conversation, and he's still in it, right? The whole running around the streets with the girls and everything. I don't have that same love for that anymore, right? Because you can achieve all these goals, you can do all this shit, you can have all this, you can run around in the strip clubs behind, chasing ass and all this other stuff that most guys like to do. But what's the point of making all this money, achieving all this shit, if you don't have anybody to share it with? Like, I remember one time I flew back home to see my daughter, right? And my mom and my family. And I was in the airport. And Toria wasn't there with me. And it felt weird that she wasn't there for me. I remember that being one of the things that stuck out to me. Like, I was in the airport by myself. And I can travel by myself. Most things I want to do, I can do by myself. But I can understand that I like doing it more with her. It makes the memory makes more sense, or it adds more value to the memory itself. Like, if you're doing it with another person, like, okay, I want to go to Toronto to this Lloyd Banks concert, right? She's not going to the concert, but we're going to Toronto. We had an argument a while back where I started to drive to Toronto, and I stopped myself halfway between it. Because if I go to Toronto by myself, it doesn't mean anything. Because I've done all this shit. Like, what's the point of doing all this traveling if you don't have nobody to share the travel with? Like, traveling by yourself is okay. Like, don't get me wrong, okay. I've been to Italy, Spain, I've been to Dubai, I've been to England, I've pretty much, for the most part, been to most states on the eastern side of the U.S. You know what I mean? All this is cool, and I have memories of it, and it's great memories. But if I did a lot of that stuff with her, it'd meant more. You know what I mean? Traveling with her, to me, means a lot. So it's like, to get back to the movie, Adam Sandler had been using the remote so much, it starts to, like, the remote develops preferences, right? Like, every time him and his wife argue, it fast forwards. Every time it comes to, like, the part of sex where he doesn't want to rub her back, it fast forwards. Like, whenever he gets involved with it, like, just anything he doesn't like, it fast forwards. Like, And the remote fast forward so much so to the point where it's like, it's in the future. He's at his son's wedding. No, he's at his son's reception. He's a wedding and reception. He's at his son's reception. He ain't been there for his marriage, so his wife that he loves so much has moved on. Like, she's dating another guy. Like his daughter's like in a relationship, but he doesn't remember none of it because his remote's been fast forwarding based on his preferences, right? It gets to a point where his dad dies in the movie and he doesn't even remember the last time he saw his dad, because every time some shit comes up that he don't like dealing with, he fast forwards it, right? And it gets to a point where, he falls down in the middle of the street and it's raining and he dies, and it snaps back to where he was in the motherfucking Bed Bath & Beyond when he came to get, I think, a sofa. I can't remember what he was in the Bed Bath & Beyond for. The basic point of the whole thing is to really enjoy the quality time that you have with people. You know what I mean? I personally try to let my daughter know as much as I can that I care about her, regardless of whatever the fuck's done happened between me and her people. I try to let my kid know that I give a fuck, because really I do give a fuck. Like, it's just her people I don't fuck with. It's the Southeast Georgia bullshit I don't fuck with. Like, if I didn't move to Buffalo, I would have been in prison. That's how bad it got, right? But I do care about those moments and those conversations that I have with my kids. She just turned 13. All that stuff really does matter to me. And it's like, the longer I've been alive and living and doing shit, I feel like when it comes to like, getting financially ahead or paying off debt or, just achieving money goals and stuff of that nature, right? All that stuff, if you work at it long enough, will come over time, right? And that's something I'm beginning to realize about money. Eventually, whatever money goal you have or whatever goal you have, you know what I mean? If you just put enough time into it, over time you will get there. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not finna sacrifice the quality time or, the things I could be doing as far as family and things of that nature. You know what I mean? For the sake of like a goal. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna reach the goal, I promise you. But I'm saying is I've become a lot more patient when it comes to achieving the goal. I'm less obsessive about it. Like, when it comes to the gym, I make time for it. When it comes to like money things, I make time for it, right? But the one thing we all have in common to some degree is time. We may not all be financially on the same level, but we all have the same amount of time in each day, right? Your time won't return. I can make more money. I can get my money back, even if I lose it. I might be pissed off, whatever may happen, or whatever the case would be, for whatever comes from whatever money issue I have. I will make more money. You can't make more time. Like, so it's like, even in the sense of like how I feel now, I try to make time to call my mom more. Like, I used to not call my mom. Like, I would go a whole 2-3 weeks without calling my mom. So I try to make the time to call my mom. I try to make the time to call my dad. Me and my sister done got to the point where we talk a lot more. Man, listen, Daisha's like my other half. Like, she just thinks the same thing I think, but just in woman form. So it's like, me and her have learned to like get on the same page with a lot of stuff. But there was a time in my life I couldn't stand the ground that my sister walked on. That's one of the relationships I'm glad worked itself out to the point where me and her talk a lot more and just converse and just, because we get a lot from each other from talking. But what I'm saying is the people in your life, the things that go on, the memories that you can create, the places you can go with your family, the things that are important to the people that are important to you, those things matter. Like, and I would go as far as to say they matter a lot more than any amount of money you could make. Hell, personally to me, is one of the reasons why I left the road. Like, okay, living with my girlfriend is the first like home I've had since I lived at my mom's house. Like, I had an apartment, but my apartment was just a temporary stay type thing. But like, okay, having an apartment as a man and having a woman live with you that actually takes care of a home Okay, let me put it, like, I guess the better way to explain is this. When I had my apartment, right, I had a bed, I had an Xbox, I had a dresser, and I had food in the fridge. I didn't have no furniture in the front room. I literally lived like a lot of those memes that were on Facebook where the guy has the blow-up mattress and the TV. I literally lived like that because at the time, I didn't want to bring anything to my house that I had to carry out. Like, because I know I wasn't going to be here long term. I was only there for like a couple years or whatever when I was in the Navy. So I wasn't going to be there long. So I didn't want to buy anything that I had to carry out or get a bunch of movers to move. I didn't really give a fuck about having anything. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. So what the fuck am I buying all this shit for? When you live with a woman, it's a whole different ball game. Like, a woman's not going to let you just live in the house and not put nothing in it, not decorate, not put no type of decor. She's going to make it a home, but that's beside the point. Me living up here now is the closest thing I've had to a home since I lived with my mother. Okay? That means something to me. It's one of the reasons why I left the road. Like, okay, like how a lot of guys, like, okay, I watch a lot of wrestling documentaries, right? And I'm not trying to get too far off topic here, but I watch a lot of wrestling documentaries. And a lot of wrestlers, they're on the road, 280 days out the year? That's a lot of time you're missing, right? And if I have to go back on the road, not saying I do, but if I'm going to go back out there to work on the road for real, and I'm going to be missing time out on, my family and my life and the things I care about, like like JB Hunt be pissing me off, but I'm home every night. If I got to go back out, like let's say OTR or working on the road in the nuclear plant, like let's say in the Navy all over again, it better be enough money to where the motherfuckers I care about don't have to worry about shit. That's how much quality time means to me. Not only that, but between running the streets with women when I was younger, right, and working travel jobs, I never had the time to really invest in a gym. Like I've always liked the idea of a gym, but I was always start, stop. And I promise I'm trying to stay on topic here. What I'm saying is quality of life and quality of time matters, right? Because it got to the point with me, right? I told myself, if I keep living in Southeast Georgia, I'm going to end up in an orange jumpsuit. And I'm going to have some years. like I might be doing like 10 to 15 to 20. Like, there was a couple times I almost came out of my baby mama's house with a bat and broke a motherfucker's legs. Like, shit got so stupid for a while. Like, not only that, but like motherfuckers threatening to shoot my mama's house up, and I mean from her side of the family. Once it got to that point, and like, it was niggas I knew that I was cool with wanting to like shoot at her people, and it was gonna get to a point either I had to leave or I was gonna have to make a decision to be cool with going to jail, because I had gotten to a point where I was contemplating buying a gun. Now, if you are from Georgia, you know how loose the gun laws are. It's very easy for a motherfucker to get a pistol. Not only that, but I knew motherfuckers in the street that could have got me a burner. Like, if I really wanted one bad enough. Like, so, when you couple all that together, and it's like, okay, I know I want to be here for this kid, and I know I want to be around, but at the same time, if I keep being around and keep being involved, I'm going to end up having to kill somebody from her side of the family. It got that bad. Like, so that's how I ended up here. So it's just when you think about all of that in the perspective of time, it's like, okay, the alternative, even though I'm not in Georgia and I'm not around, the alternative would have been much worse. And personally, me, I'm no good to my daughter in a jail cell. I'm no good to my daughter in a jumpsuit. I can't help anybody if I can't work with a clear mind or do what I need to do or whatever the case may be. And since I've been living up here, I've experienced a whole different side of life. Like, because when you live in the hood, right, everything, your whole existence, your whole environment, the shit that you absorb, the shit that you take in and you're around, it's ghetto ass shit. And you tend to think that that's your entire universe, but that's not the case. Like, there's a whole different side of life that has nothing to do with none of that. Like, okay, the space I'm in now, the things I'm around now, okay, I'm into fitness now. Me and my girlfriend, we do shit on the weekends. And I mean, we really like enjoy life on some positive shit. Like I think I enjoy hiking. You know what I mean? This is the first time I've ever drunk an iced coffee. What I'm saying is like where you put your time at and the shit you involve yourself in, the people you choose to have around you, the type of environment you choose to fuck with, it matters. Like just me being in Buffalo, right? Around her people, like, okay, I'm still a ghetto motherfucker from the hood, but I'm less of a ghetto motherfucker from the hood. Because when you in the hood, you gotta live that shit every day. When you around these white folks, you don't gotta live like that. I don't gotta carry no gun around these people. Like, okay, even when me and her have our differences, it's not like I gotta fight the family. Man, there's been times me and this girl have fought, and I thought I was gonna have to fight her uncle after that, and it didn't turn out that way, right? And a lot of that shit is predicated in the type of motherfuckers you choose to spend time with, the type of life you choose to live. Where the one message I do want to get across to my kid at some point, right, is that the way you live now is not like it's not normal. Like, it's like living in the hood is not normal living. You know what I mean? It's to the point where I can't be involved with nobody from down there. Like, because the way hood shit work, you got a cousin that's in the bullshit, you in the bullshit because your cousin's in the bullshit. You could be the one person not on bullshit, but if everybody else is on bullshit and you're there with them while they're on bullshit, you're in it too. You know what I mean? It's one of those guilty by association type things. But I'm getting off the topic here. Look, man, where you put your time in, the people you spend time with, the things you do, you know, where you put your time, who you spend your time with, all of it matters. And, you know, I've just learned a different appreciation for life in the sense of, like, you know, don't be in such a rush to do everything or achieve just to be a part of all this bullshit. You know what I mean? Because one day you might not have it. And I want to take every second that I can to appreciate everything that I have. You know, that was something I just wanted to say.